Hello and welcome to another unscheduled, because we never schedule these things, Discord in the Ranks. We have the King and myself chatting about the
Hello.
latest announcement and kind of, how the edition's been. We haven't really talked in the podcast uh, sphere since the drop of the Legacy Models article, and we didn't even talk about we haven't even talked since the edition released. So,
All right.
how's it going?
It's going fantastically. I've been really, really, really enjoying the new edition. Without the much lauded after third book for armies. However, seeing the announcement for it this week has got me even more excited. What
Yeah,
about yourself?
I uh, I mean, I'm having a great time. As controversial as like the edition has been for folks in the community, I've been really just enjoying the sort of simplicity of it all. Even though there's been a lot of like special rules added, and there's sort of some complication in explaining that yeah, you can't quite take the Witch King on the Fell Beast in Host of the Witch King, but you can do it in Minus Morgul, and so folks are trying to figure out where their models can live.
Mm.
Um, it's still been super fun just being able to say like, here's the army list. If this is a character you like, here are three different army lists that they're in, and then pick which one you think is cool.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
that's been working pretty well. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
Um,
like this
I,
announcement though, this announcement is pretty exciting.
It's very exciting. Well, to be fair, what excited me a little bit more than the announcement of the book is Imrahil's new model because some people in the Discord will know, and then many other people who listen and don't listen to this will not know that Imrahil is my boy. He is my main man. He is my munchkin. I love him so much. Book Imrahil and game Imrahil. I played a lot of Rohan and Fiefdoms last edition, and it was usually Imrahil going around bullying people in Theoden's name, which is mwah, beautiful. I really wasn't expecting him to get a model. If anything, I was expecting, maybe a plastic Elisar or
Hmm.
something like that instead of Imrahil. But no, we got plastic Imrahil, and I am delighted because he looks gorgeous. And knowing that he's got a plastic model, I know they are just going to cram him into so many lists, new ones
Yeah,
and currently standing ones. He's just going to be everywhere, and I'm going to be able. I think I I have a gut feeling he's going to be introduced to Defenders of the Pelennor, and that means I can do Théoden and Imrahil again. Sure, I don't have my Strength 4 Cav in that list anymore. However, you know, I'll still have a good chunk of Cav and my Fiefdoms core, hopefully, in Defenders of Pelennor, and I'll be able to play that alliance once again because of this third book.
yeah, for sure. And the model itself also has the potential to be introduced in Grief of Eomer. So there might be
Mm,
another Dol Amroth and Rohan force because it's Eomer is described as being unleashed like the Fae and going mad on the forces of Sauron, and
mm.
I believe Imrahil rides with him.
He does, yeah. So in the Battle of Pelennor, Éomer comes across his dead uncle Théoden and his very wounded sister Éowyn, but he believes her to be dead, and he's filled up with grief and rage, and that's where we get the call for death instead of the films in the books. It's Éomer who does that. He goes ride for ruin and world's ending, and Imrahil, the Chad that he is, just kind of goes like, oh, that dude's gonna get himself killed. We kind of need him alive, don't we? Yeah, Joe up. Let's ride out and help him.
Yeah.
And Imrahil's like, right, Swan Knights with me. Let's kill as many dudes as we can, but whatever you do, try and keep Éomer alive because he's the next in
Yeah.
line for the Rohan throne.
Yeah, it would be unfortunate if the entire, leadership of Rohan was dismantled in one afternoon.
I know,
Uh,
right? That'd be dire. It wouldn't be the first time it's happened though.
True.
um, but yeah, no, I think I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think Hurin also rides out in that moment. But I'm not
Ooh,
too
that's
sure.
cool.
I am not too sure. I haven't read it in a while, but for sure Imrahil's there. But there's a chance that Hurin could be in the Grief of Éomer as well. I'm not too sure on that one, but yeah. The grief of Éomer could be Éomer Imrahil Hurin, but it's like you have to take Éomer. That's going to
Yeah.
be the army leader. He might be a hero of legend. Um, I'd like it if he gets like if Arise rises it. Oh wait, Arise rises Theoden always it goes off your general anyway now instead of
Mhm.
Theoden. So yeah, um, it'll be cool if they get like the strength 4 in that one or the call of death or something like in Riders of Theoden, and then Imrahil gets in there and does something cool.
Yeah,
Um,
like, since they call death in the book, it would be cool if they gave death in that one, and then the fact that like Imrahil, and maybe it's only Rohan Keyword gets to like do death, but maybe
okay.
it's everyone.
Mm,
Um,
mm. He could
but
give the fightem side like Swarm Protector Éomer as well.
oh, true. They
Yeah,
gotta
just
keep the guy alive.
the Swan Knights and Imrahil are all fearless. Let's go.
That'd be so cool. Oh man, and
It'd be
the
themey.
the line. I'm sorry.
Yeah, as I say, it would be themey. It'd be very thematic.
Yeah, that'd be so cool. The the line where they describe Aomer as being like one of the powerful figures, of yore, right?
Mm,
Um, I wonder if they give because we have writers of Aomer where he gets free heroic combat, right? And that's like
yeah.
where he shines. Um, I wonder if they're gonna give Aomer mighty hero in this list. If you
Ooh.
like, can you imagine? Because that's in this moment, right, in his spotlight moment where he's described as being super powerful and untouchable, right?
Mm,
Do they give him mighty hero so you get to have another character besides Bulk when he gets a certain number of kills that
mm,
has the mighty hero special rule? And maybe there's a caveat on when you get Mighty Hero, or maybe straight up he's going to be the replacement for Helm Hammerhand of last edition, and he's going to have three heroic combats and Mighty Hero.
yeah. Yeah. I've also got I just reminded myself of his profile. He has the price of grief built in onto his profile. I reckon that automatically activates. Like you play this, you'll play the grief of AMR army. You've got the price of grief from the get go. So AMR must charge if he can do. But when he does charge, he rerolls all failed wound rolls.
Yeah,
And you put that on
and
top of his sword that explodes on sixes. Yeah.
yeah, he's going to be absolutely killer. And Emmerhill, of
Mm.
course, gotta be, fight
Yeah, he's
seven.
he's gonna be he's gotta be up there as one of the. In the book, it's Aragorn, Imrahil, and Éomer who come from the Battle of Pelennor, like not unscathed, but like the least harm from it. Actually, no, I think it is unscathed. I'd have to
Yeah.
double check. But yeah, but obviously Aragorn and Imrahil, Numenorian blood in their veins, fight 7. Éomer, fight 6. Imrahil, like I heard that they tested Imrahil with blood and glory, but
Oh,
I don't know like if that's true or not. Obviously, because I only heard it, it could have just been mindless ramblings or just wishful thinking that people were spreading as rumors. But if Imrahil gets General Hunter, oof.
that would be sweet. Do you think there's a chance that, like, because they want to give a spotlight to Boromir and Aragorn as the fight 7 humans, right? Do you think that
Yeah.
they're gonna give Imrahil 6.5 as his fight value, kind of like how Theoden works, where Theoden's fight 5, but he's kind of basically just fight 6 against fight 5 models?
Yeah, I get what you mean. I don't think so. No, I reckon he will be fight 7.
Okay.
Like Boromir is the greatest of regular men, so fight 7.
Mhm.
Aragorn is, he's Aragorn. He's the next king. Numenorian blood in his veins. Fight 7. Isildur. Fight 7. Elendil, the king of kings. Fight 8. I
Mhm.
reckon Imrahil. The last edition, Imrahil was the same fight as Aragorn. I think this edition he'll be the same fight as Aragorn. I reckon he will be
Yeah.
fight 7.
Okay.
But 6.5 could be cool. It would work fine. But I do think Imrahil's one of the one people who deserves to be able to strike and get fight 10.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
I am
That's true.
extremely biased.
Y
I am extremely
yeah.
biased in this, but yeah. However, I would say maybe his 12-inch banner gets reduced to 6 inches, and it becomes a fight half you just automatically win ties. Fiefdoms are probably staying at fight 4. I can't see the Swan Knights going to fight 5 personally.
Right.
Um, so I reckon they'll stay fight 4. No idea if they'll keep the fight buff when they're within 3 inches of Imrahil, but if a lot of the lists are going to be cavalry, um, obviously he's only affecting like maybe 1, 2, 3 dudes maximum. Um, Depending on how well you can cluster, wrap around, and charge at somebody. I think the most I've ever got is like 7 people benefit from his +1 to fight value, but that's also because I had pikes, which are now legacied. Um, I had pikes and foot Knights of the Lamroth, so I could have them next to Imrahil as well as 2 knights going around doing stuff. So that's how I got a bunch of fight buffs within 3 inches. But we'll see, we'll see. I hope he keeps his banner. I wouldn't like obviously going from 12 inches down to 6 inches would be sad. However, I think it might just be better for the fucking game.
Yeah. There's a
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if I don't think they're gonna reduce his banner radius because they seem to have been kind of doing this pattern of what's the special rule or special thing about this character that sets him apart from the other hero models, and then let's like double down on that, right?
yeah.
So I think there's a decent chance that Emerald keeps a 12-inch banner, and maybe that fight value thing is exchanged for the auto win ties, so
Mm,
that
mm,
they don't have too much fight 5 going on. Elves still get to be fancy
yeah.
and whatnot. Um,
I will say, obviously the banner was only for Knights of the Lamroth and Men at Arms last edition, but the Fiefdoms Army bonus let you have it expand to everybody in Fiefdoms.
mm,
So obviously in the article that announced Armies of Middle-Earth and Imrahil, there is a Fiefdoms army list. I reckon that might still be the same. I reckon his banner will only affect um, Knights of the Lamroth and Captains of the Lamroth. No one
mm.
else, unless he's in the Fiefdoms army list. But then it's also like, well, that's good because when he's in the Grief of Eomer, he's probably only going to be bringing Knights of the Lamroth. And if he gets shoehorned into, well, not shoehorned in, if he gets added to Men of the West because he was there in the book, he's going to be bringing Knights of the Lamroth with him there as well. Uh, Defenders of Pelennor, same again. It's like his banner's just for his dudes. That's why it's allowed to be so big, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Do you think there's a chance that the Swan Knights, the Knights of Dol Amroth, are Fight 5 or Fight 4.5 built in
I,
because of how everything's moved around and the Numenorians have moved to Fight 5?
Yeah, with the way the Humanoids have moved to Fight 5, it kind of I get the thinking. However, with it being diluted blood, except for like the royal bloodline, the princes of the Lamroth, Adrahil, Imrahil, etc. Um, I could see them getting 4.5 built in. But it might be like the Fight 4, they're 4.5 within 6 inches of Imrahil.
Right, right.
Or something like that. Instead of getting the +1 fight within 3 inches, just have a 6 inch aura of 4.5. Because there is a good chunk of fight 4 this edition. Um,
That's true.
and you got to think even Moran's a fight 3, but the fight 4 versus men. So got Gondor a tying fight with Morannons. The Dolan Roth reinforcements could be the bit to tip them over a little bit. Or if you've got Boromir in his banner, because Boromir's banner is the 4.5 generator as well now.
Yeah, because you've got the Knights of Minas Tirith and the Warriors of Minas Tirith are now Fight 4. So if they're
Hmm.
both Fight 4, what's gonna? I wonder if they stay Fight 4, will the Knights of Dol Amroth and have a point decrease so that they are in line with what Warriors of Minas Tirith are costed at? Because they're 8 points, 9 points with a shield, 10 points with a shield and spear. Will Knights of Dol Amroth be 8 points or 9 points because you have to take them with a shield, right? And so
Yeah.
they'll be just 9 point models
Mm.
that are just Fight 4, and then they're basically just another flavor of Warrior of Minas Tirith. So they'll probably do something. And maybe, what if they give them a sort of baby version of Elven Blade, where they get to win ties on fight on a 3 plus, like an Elven Blade rule, but it just doesn't work
Mm.
against elves, right? So
Mm.
elves still get their Elven Blade bonus against the Swan Knights.
I, I reckon it's probably going to be more likely to come in the form of maybe higher courage, higher intelligence. Like your
Okay.
standard Ministerial Warrior, 8-pointer, he's 7+7+. I could see a Knight of the Lamroth being, I think they were 11 points last edition. I could see them being 10 points. Exact same stat line as a Warrior of Minas Tirith, but forced with a shield, but they're 6+ courage, 6+ intelligence instead.
Yeah.
And then depending on how they do the horse and lance, they could still go back up to 20 points mounted, or they could end up being 19 points mounted. But we'd have to see. But I definitely think they probably are going to be a 6+6+ on intelligence and courage over Warriors of Minas Tirith. So you're going to have slightly smarter, slightly more brave Warriors of Minas Tirith in form of the Knights of the Lamroth. But they'll probably have something to bounce off of Imrahil as well. So it's just kind of like, oh yeah, you've brought some Knights of the Lamroth. Well, they're with the guy, the dude, the man himself, Imrahil, Prince of Darmroth. So yeah,
Okay. Now here's one more theory for what they could
yeah,
do to the Dol Amroth Knight profile.
yeah.
Is that because they've got diluted blood of Numenor, uh, if they don't get fight 5 and they don't get fight 4.5 or something of that sort, maybe we see them kind of emulate the previous edition Numenor profile, where they're fight 4 and then they're strength 4 because they've got the strength.
Mm, that'd be zesty. That, and you got to think on horseback as well. Strength 4 lancers,
Yeah,
deadly,
that could
deadly.
be pretty sweet. And we see
Yeah.
Imrahil jump up to strength 5, maybe.
Oh, don't. I'm getting erect. Oh, a strength 5 Imrahil would be nutty. Nutty. Oh, Aragorn stage strength 4, so I can't go there. But Aragorn was living out in the wild. He weren't, he weren't in it's not Ethelland. I can't remember the name of the Castle of Dalamroth in the middle of Belfast.
Ecthelion?
Regardless, no, no, it's not Ecthelion. There's Ectheliand. That's to the north, at the very north of Dalamroth,
Oh, right.
and then their actual citadel. What is it? I want to say it's Dawn N something, Dawn and Neil, Dawn. Regardless, you know, whilst Aragorn was out in the wild doing stuff, he might have stuck to just strength 4, just strength 4. He also does have the option for a lightsaber, so that's like just a balancing thing. Imrahil could have been hitting the gym every day.
That's
Strength
true.
5, strength 5 Imrahil. I mean, like, I wouldn't say no. I would say no to that, but um, that could be cool if the Knights of the Rock got strength 4 and Hill got strength 5. Obviously, that would keep them being expensive elite units
Hmm.
um, that you could stick onto atop the walls, because I'm pretty sure the men of the fiefdoms were helping defend Minas Tirith as well as the Warriors of Minas Tirith. But yeah, in the fiefdoms there'll be your elite core surrounded by your clansmen of Lamadon, your Blackroot Vale archers, your axemen of Lossanac, and then you've got and his Imrahil and his Knights of the Lamroth, and they're all like the Chads. But that's also another thing. Just going from just Imrahil and the Lamroth to the fiefdoms, Axemen of Lossanac could become strength 4, because Forlong the Fat was strength 5.
Oh, true.
Um, and he's definitely losing his war spear, because he shouldn't have access to a horse anymore because he's never had a horse model.
Right.
Um, so I reckon he's going down to just a regular spear. He'll have hand weapon, spear, warhorn. But he was strength 5, so I could see Axemen of Lossanac becoming strength 4 potentially in the fiefdoms list.
And do you think they give him some sort of oblivious to pain special rule?
I mean, that'd be nice, because the troll got it with his blubbering mass. And who was the other big character who had a feel no pain?
I'm trying to remember. They didn't give one to
Oh,
Bomber, did they?
No, I didn't give one to Bomber. The bears got one. The big bears got a Feel No Pain. So yeah, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind if Forlong was just sat there like I am big, so I get a six. I get a 6+.
Yeah,
Oblivious to pain. 'Cause that'd be kind of funny. But we do know he dies at Pelennor, so
true. So probably yeah, still one fate.
yeah,
Uh,
he's still gonna be one fate. I mean, to show that he was big, he was a 3 wound hero, if I recall correctly. He was 2 attacks, 3 wounds, 3 might, 1 will, 1 fate, and he could strength. And then he had a reroll aura for his Axemen of Lossanac. They could reroll ones to wound, and then obviously in a
mhm.
fiefdoms list with their army bonus, that's all fiefdoms units got reroll wound rolls of 1, which was nice.
Yeah,
They seem to really like reroll wound rolls of 1 this edition, so I can see him keeping that as well.
yeah. I bet they give Forlong the dominant special role, dominant two.
Oh yeah, yeah, big
Well, he's got a
presence.
horn
Yeah,
anyway, right? So I guess he would
yeah,
be dominant
he
two.
would be. So if anything, he might be dominant 3.
That'd be pretty sweet. That'd be really
Mm.
sweet. Because then,
Mm.
because dominant has been such a powerful special rule to just give out to 25 millimeter bases.
Yeah.
The Because like monsters have needed it, and leaders having it has been useful, but also very powerful to just run the Witch King over to an objective and then just capture it. But if the fact that Defenders of the Hornburg as a Rohirrim list has dominant two on all of their models just forever, there's no caveat. It's so hard to play against them in any sort of objective game because the moment you quarter them, they're still the same model footprint basically as an army that has only just been broken. And so you have
Mm.
to kill so many of them. You have to basically table them in order to hold the objectives.
Yeah, yeah. Dominance has been a bit of a game changer for sure. It's won me a couple of games. Like I remember doing hold ground against Halls of Thranduil, and in the center of the board was just my Witch King, um, a troll, 3 Mirkwood elves, and Thranduil. And then in that turn, I managed to kill off 2 of the Mirkwood elves, and the troll survived Thranduil's onslaught, so we won because of dominant. I was like, "Whoa!" It actually came in useful. Then I've had another game of domination where um, I had again it was me and a Smuggle, Witch King, and a troll holding 2 separate objectives on their own. As you said, just have the Witch King go somewhere and take an objective off somebody. It's just it actually has been quite powerful. I've really enjoyed its introduction, and when we get more scenarios, I'm looking forward to seeing how many more scenarios where dominant's going to be a key player in your list.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see some of the special rules and army bonuses that haven't been able to function in these six scenarios, like
Mm,
the Master Burglar rule that Bilbo has, and the Army of Thror protect the treasure thing that they've
mm.
got.
Yeah, yeah,
Where
yeah.
like there's a lot of potential in just scenario design from what they've described with those special rules.
Yeah. To be fair, Erebor's treasure hoard kind of pops off in domination. You can put an objective in your own deployment zone, and then if you're near that, your Erebor dwarfs have +1 to wound against enemy models that hold it, and they get to reroll wound rolls of 1. It's like the one spot where that rule actually does anything.
Really, okay. I was under the impression based on what it's describing, right? Because instead of an objective marker, it's
Mm,
saying um, objective something else, right? And so it was implying that it was like for heirlooms or the relic in recovery, etc. Or
It's just
retrieval.
an enemy model that is in possession. Oh yeah, I guess against an enemy model that is in possession of an objective marker. Um, I see. I've read it as just in project in possession, meaning like they control it, they have it. But you reading it that way, it's like yeah, someone actually holding it. I get what you mean. I've always took it as whoever's in control of it because you can determine that at any point in the game. It's like I'm currently controlling this objective because I've got more people around it or I have more dominance around it. It's like right, okay, well I get +1 to wound. But I get what you mean. Yeah, if it's an enemy model that is in possession of an objective marker, I guess.
Yeah,
But then again, with like Keys of Prize and that, you weren't in possession of the objective marker itself, was you? It's not like the objective marker followed you around. It's just you picked it up, but that objective marker was removed from the game, and then you put it back down. I don't know. We'll see how it interacts.
yeah,
It might be one for a figure, but I've been playing it as just like being in possession just means are you controlling that area? Like if you got it over me, if the game was to end now.
gotcha. Okay, okay. Um, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do, especially with this new book, which has got some interesting cover art. There was some discussion in the channel about the origin of the art and
Mm,
and because it's not a movie still like they've been doing with every other book, what is it implying with the timeline of this book and why it's coming out so late? Is this something that is trying to dodge New Line Cinema's royalties, so it's strictly book royalties since the Middle Earth Enterprises whole sphere is, pretty complicated, and so maybe
yeah,
they are trying to like, save royalty money by making this book art and sketches and stuff in this only, so it's kind of more book feeling. Is this
yeah.
art AI generated? Was a conversation point. Um, and the cover is like before we even talk about the number of lists that are going to be in it,
Mm,
the cover art just really raises a lot of questions about what the inside of the book is going to look like.
yeah. Yeah. I've got a feeling the layout's gonna be very similar. I reckon we're gonna have a good half, then an evil half, and it's gonna be all the profiles, then the lists. But yeah, the bit that intrigues me is later on when they mention the Legions of Middle-Earth section,
Mm-hmm.
for when your heroes and warriors can feature in armies that are in Armies of Lord of the Rings or Armies of the Hobbit. I have no idea whether that's gonna be placed, whether that's at the very end, at the very beginning, or what. Um, I hope it's easy to find regardless. If they put it like somewhere in the middle of the book, I'll be upset.
Yeah. My guess is that it's gonna be like sort of like the appendices, so it's gonna be at the
Yeah,
end. And so you're
yeah,
gonna go through all the profiles that are existing for these factions. They probably won't do a lot of reprinting of profiles, and then there will be the army lists, and then at the end, yeah, they'll be like, yeah, so
yeah.
if you want to
Here's your
do,
Legions of Middle Earth section. Glorfindel fits in Linden and Rivendell, and then all the last alliance players are like, no.
yeah, it's cool that they're calling it Legions of Middle Earth because it's a throwback to the old army building system that is
Mm,
kind of given credit as the influence and inspiration for how they're doing army building now is
yeah,
the whole you can only do these themey combinations. There's no allies matrix. It's here's your army when it's Great Company hanging out with, the fiefdoms. Here's the army when you do this. And so them calling it that is a cool homage to the book that I believe it was Matthew Ward wrote back in 2007 or 8 for the Blue
mm,
Book era.
yeah,
And I actually just I somehow don't own a copy of that, so I actually ordered a copy for like $15 online and from just
bargain.
some, bookstore.
Yeah,
Uh and I'm gonna, take a flip through because I read through most all and used most all of the other Blue Book era material, but I never read the Legions of Middle Earth stuff. So I'm curious to kind of thumb through the pages while we're waiting for this new book to come out and see,
yeah,
where the parallels might be.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, no, it's. I don't want to be putting people in places yet because obviously it could lead to massive disappointment. But as we mentioned with Imrahil before, he's going to be in the fight He's going to be in the grief of AMA. I reckon he's going to be in Defenders of Pelennor. I reckon he's going to be in a top of the wall, some Men of the West. He's going to be about. Glorfindel's going to be in a few Rivendell lists as well. So he's going to probably be in Rivendell. He's going to be in Linden. He's obviously a Battle of Fornost. And it's just kind of like, oh, where's everyone else going to fit, man? Where is everyone else
Yeah.
going to fit?
It's it's interesting to think about the lists that are going to be changing because of Legions of Middle Earth, because
Mm,
obviously at all tournament and events, you're going to ignore the raw of just Armies of Lord of the Rings now. Like Armies of Lord of the Rings
Yeah,
is now just the supporting cast to this book,
yeah,
which is funny, right?
yeah. It's
The
supposed to be the other way around, but it's just not. It's like Armies of Middle-Earth has literally made some armies playable again. This is the more important book.
Yeah, this is yeah, this is exactly the most important book of this edition, other than maybe the match play guide. But this just unlocks so much. It opens up everyone's collection again, and
Mm,
is really gonna, make the Doom players and the Easterling players happy again. Um, I am interested in the impact it's gonna have on the existing army list, like Men of the West, because Men of the West has been attested as a pretty strong list
yep.
in
Only gonna get
some
stronger
rankings.
now.
And so I'm curious to see like when they're going to introduce Imrahil. And so are we going to be seeing Imrahil become like a massive splash into that list where now normally you're running Elisar and Legolas with a captain, but are we going to perhaps see maybe Legolas won't be as impactful as Imrahil if Imrahil's, an absolute doom guy ripping and
Mm.
tearing?
I mean, you could shock the world and do a bit of LSR, Imrahil, and Guaya, and have
Oh
next to no
yeah.
troops.
Yeah.
Like, here's
Um,
my 20 model army. All the dudes are gonna sit at the back, and Imrahil, Elisar, and Guaya are hopefully gonna do everything else.
yeah. It's gonna be
Um,
interesting to see just what everything looks like.
I think the Shire is going to get fleshed out because right now I have no. I don't think the Shire has a reason to exist at the moment. The Shire list in Armies of the Middle Earth. Um, like they could have made another list, another themed list, but no, they're just like, yeah, here's the Shire,
Yeah,
and
I
it doesn't really do much.
it's got some really powerful elements because like Lobelia is really strong and the fireworks cart is really strong. So I'm wondering, is it gonna stay the Hero Hammer Shire list where they're not gonna introduce Hobbit militia and sheriffs and archers, or are they gonna introduce them, but because militia and sheriffs doesn't really have the right timeline connotation. Are they going to
Yeah,
do that thing that they did with the Rohirrim traders of the Dunland and say, "Oh, this isn't Hobbit militia. These are Hobbit party goers or Hobbit townsfolk or
yeah,
Hobbit, folk, right?" And
yeah,
then are they going to rename sheriffs to be like I think the Bounders was still in the Scouring of the Shire era. The Scouring of the Shire era. So I wonder if they're gonna do the Hobbit sheriffs like won't be present at all. It'll just be sheriffs and then maybe or sorry, it'll just be militia called party goers or whatever. And
yeah,
then probably add archers because the archers did exist at the time.
yeah,
So
yeah. They exist at the time, like, but it's also one of them. It's like, well, no one was really around with a bow
yeah.
in the film, so. I get what you mean, but I definitely think that one's getting fleshed out. Road to Rivendell's probably staying the same. I can't see them adding anything to that.
Well,
What was the other one?
do they change Road to Rivendell so that you can choose between Arwen and Glorfindel?
Oh, Glorfindel sneaks into yet another list.
Yeah, because he was there in the
um,
book.
actually, did they legacy his unarmored profile?
I've got the article open right now. Let's take a quick peek. Controlling F for Glorf. So unarmored was legacied, but maybe they just
Right.
don't care. Maybe they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, he's gonna be in full armor hanging out with Strider
Yeah,
and a couple hobbits.
he's just like, I've been looking for you. It's like, Glorfindel, why are you dressed ready for war? Like it's 1,000 years ago. He's just like, shut up. Give me the Hobbit.
Yeah, I guess that
Shut up,
says
give
to
me the
me that
Hobbit.
they probably won't do it, but that would be kind of
Yeah.
unfortunate if they left out
I mean,
something like that.
they could still allow that for legacy rules because we do know that legacy, whilst profiles are going to legacy, there's also going to be those profiles are going to be told what lists they can be in.
Oh,
So
true.
it could still happen.
True. There could be, with it being 50-50 on if a tournament allows legacy or not,
Mm,
it could be interesting that there's a separate meta of legacy allowance, and suddenly Road to Rivendell with unarmored Glorfindel is popping off,
yeah, yeah,
which is doubtful because it's just a Hero Hammer list, but or rather, it's a hero hammer list that features 75% hobbits. Um,
Yeah.
there's only so much that Arwen and Aragorn can do to carry it on their back. Um, so, taking a look at the armies that they revealed,
Yeah.
we have, Army of the Great Eye, which sounds like it's going to be the Mordor all-encompassing list. That's just going to have every Mordor keyword. Um,
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to that. I've got a feeling it might not have any of the named orcs in it, but it might be like Witch King, Orc captains, Morannon captains, all the Morannons, all of the regular orcs, Uruks as well,
mhm.
Warg Riders, and then I don't know, they might be a little bit spicy and throw werewolves in it, but unlikely.
Yeah, I'm I'm not confident that werewolves will make an appearance, but I'm definitely confident that there's a chance. There's a little tiny chance that they're gonna have a special for where there's a whip, there's a way, and
Yes.
we're gonna see some sweet musical justice represented.
Oh, that job would be funny if it was just the list that all of the legacy Mordor stuff just goes into.
Oh yeah,
It's like the Ring Race of Angmar, Fallen Realms, Gorf, Zagdush, the Blackguard, all that. It's kind of like, oh yeah, remember those guys? They can only go in the Great Army of the Great Eye. It's like, oh, all right then.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even be mad. I'd love to soup up, Zagdouche with Goroth and all these characters. Oh, and
Mm.
Ardouche all into one little list again.
Right,
Um,
Musga shows up, the mighty Musga.
oh
Wither me
please,
this.
Musger and Razgoosh need to come back. Oh, it's so sad.
It is.
Um, but then we've got Sharky's Rogues, which will
Yep.
probably look largely the same as last edition.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So, so,
hate it
so,
when
so we've got the Scarrig of the Shire forces, Battle of the Bywater, and Sharky's Rogues. They've still been included because die-hard book fans love that, and they're just like, yes, I want to be able to
yeah.
play that. And it's like, okay, small part of the community, but I respect it. Hats off to you. You really love hobbits, or you really love trashy hobos.
I mean, I have been tempted to build a Shire army for quite some time, as well as Sharky's Rogues. So I'm definitely
Mm.
one of those champions of the random why is this going to war against Imrahil's forces sort of
Yeah,
folk.
yeah,
But then of course we got Moria, and Moria, so that's not Depths of Moria. That's not like goblins with the Balrog and the Watcher. That's Moria. So is that going to
yep.
be like Durbers with cave drakes and the prowlers and all those other sort of characters that honestly could just be put into Depths of Moria, so I don't know really why they're making Moria a list, unless dragons get included or something like that.
Maybe.
Um,
I reckon it's just going to be a way to use Derbs and Druzag. Obviously, they could be renamed at this point as well. I'm pretty sure they fell under renamed or repackaged, so they could have the same names. They could get new names, regardless. The
True.
GW creations, aren't they?
It could
So they
be
can do whatever they like
Goblin
with them.
Chief.
Yeah, it's a Goblin Chief who is actually the size of an orc, and Goblin Beastmaster Shaman.
Yeah.
No, they'll probably keep it their names, but we'll see. But I reckon that list is going to be like the Goblin Crack list, where obviously right now we have Balrog plus goblins or Balrog plus monsters.
Hmm.
Um, I reckon Mario will be like, oh yeah, you like goblins. Well, if two goblins are fighting one person, they get plus one fight. If three goblins are fighting plus one person, they get plus one fight and plus one to wound. If four goblins are fighting one person, they get plus one fight, plus one to wound, and backstabbers. It's
Oh, that would
like,
be so cool.
it's like whoa, just a goblin
That would be.
swarm of Moria. But obviously they'll also have the monster mash as well, as you said, cave drakes, cave trolls, bat swarms. Um, not spiders because Ashrak's gone, but yeah, maybe some wild wargs as well. The wargs of the Misty Mountains. There's,
Hmm.
I reckon Moria is just going to be a proper tour de force of what Moria used to be if you didn't take the Balrog.
Yeah, that would be
Obviously,
honestly
lacking a
pretty
few
sweet.
options,
Yeah,
but yeah,
Batswarm would
uh,
be sweet to have. in the list, and that sounds like such a cool idea. The count the number of goblins that are in combat, and you get bonuses because plus
It'd
one
be
fight for
so
two is
cool.
and then and the plus one to wound thing, or if you just get to keep adding fight value for every extra goblin that you have in the
Oh,
fight.
fight 8 goblins.
Yeah, like you throw 3 goblins into an elf, and then all of a sudden, you have it's a fight 4, you just throw 1 more, and you're now fight 5, throw another one in, and you got 5 goblins fighting one
You
elf, and you gotta fight 6 goblin, ball. Like, that would be so cool.
you got an enemy mounted hero. You can fit six bases around him. It's just like, okay, I went from fight 2 to fight 6. Fight 7 even. Best of luck, mate.
Yeah, probably a little too strong of a rule if that existed, but
Yeah,
man, would it be
yeah.
thematic and and cool, just like,
It'd be
"Oh."
it'd be very interesting if they did something like that. However, I've got a feeling that the creativity might be a bit lacking there. It might depend on the day that the rules writer wrote the rules. You might because some of the lists it's like these are very inspired and very cool and unique, and then sometimes it's just like look, reroll ones again.
Yeah.
So we'll
Maybe,
see.
maybe if there's a game where, like, Jay Clare was playtesting Moria and he got beat by LSR really hard, he'd, like, get mad and then give the goblins +7 fight, you know?
God damn it! I want my goblins to be a swarm of strong stuff. I'm looking forward to Mario. The big one from the evil side that I've seen a lot of people talk about is Dragons of the North.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Let's
what?
go into talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like what? What would you mean dragons? Is that Smaug was called the Great Drake of the North? So is it Smaug and dragons? Is it just dragons? Is it dragons and cave drakes? A Runish War Drake's gonna get an actual model for once, and maybe a second profile that's just called Drake or Northern Drake. And it's just like these
Mhm.
minor drakes that follow dragons around or cave drakes around. It's 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 gonna be a crazy hero hammer list, but like, I mean, imagine dragons keep like survival instincts. Is survival instinct still in this game? Yeah, I think Shelob has it, right? Doesn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, if dragons kept that, I mean, it might be a bit of a damp squib of a list, but you never know. That dragons of the north is it could be so many things.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotta be plural, right? I don't think it
Yep.
brings Smaug, because Smaug didn't really strike me as a leader of dragons. So,
Oh,
it's
I was
gotta
gonna say,
be
I don't think anything's gonna be a warband. It's just Smaug was the Drake of the North. That's the only connection to it. I am very
yeah.
much. I definitely think it's a list going to be without Smaug. Smaug is just going to be relegated to Desolator of the North,
Mhm.
but that can only play at 700 point events and above, and even at 1,000 point events, he's down 300 points. But it's
True.
Smaug. It's what's the scenario? Oh, I've lost. What's the scenario? Oh, there's a chance I win.
Yeah, Smaug and one
That
dragon hanging out.
yeah, Smaug and One Dragon.
Do you think they'll
Yeah,
do,
no,
like,
go on.
some do you think they'll do some sort of thing that they did with the Ents, where you get to pick the species of Ent, that they're gonna do some sort of flavor of
Oh,
dragon?
yeah, I didn't even think about that. Oh, man, that is gonna yes. Yes, Commi. It's like this is a fire dragon. This is a waste dragon. This is a forward waste dragon. It's just like, yeah, this dragon gets +1 attack. This dragon gets monstrous charge. This dragon gets this. This dragon. Wow, yeah, no, I'm on board with that.
That could
um,
be sweet. You could have hero dragons and even maybe warrior dragons.
Yeah, exactly. Or what they could do is instead of the upgrades being on the profile, the upgrades could be in the list, and it's like every dragon can choose one of these two. Similar how free trolls is very build a bear,
Mhm.
and not build a bear, build a list depending on what you want. So your free trolls is you've got your free trolls at 400 points, and it's 50 points for any of these following rules. Your dragons could be, here's your dragons, they're all 150 points base um, at 50 points for any of these options. And that might be the list as well. and that like features into the free trolls or the choose your species of dragon. Like the Ents have species of tree.
Yeah. Oh, that could be so cool. And I know that Dragons of the North, just like Mumakil and Ents and the Fell Beasts and stuff like that, and the Balrog, you know that Dragons of the North is going to be new debate where like new players who are coming from 40K or Age of Sigmar are going to be like, "Yo, is that an army where I can just be dragons?" And they're going to be like, "Yo, can I live my fantasies of being uh the uh Daenerys from Game of Thrones?"
From Game of Thrones, yeah. Yeah, I am the Dragon Queen. It's like, hey yo, show
Yeah,
me the
just
fire.
just mass dragon plane and they got to be doing some things
Think of the dioramas you could do with that as well.
right.
Like, show up to an event. Here's my dragons to the north, and you've built like a board that's just mountains, and your dragons fit onto each mountain separately because you've magnetized them all. Because you spend way more time on hobby than I do.
Yeah. And like the different
Uh,
colors that you can paint your dragons, because obviously they're
yep.
not gonna rip off D&D too hard, but they'll probably do like you know you know folks are still gonna paint a blue dragon and a green dragon and a red dragon because they have the Green
Oh, for
Dragon
sure.
Tavern. Smaug was red, and so you're gonna have a lot of color opportunity when you're painting. You're gonna have ooh, this is my red dragon who can breathe fire and fly. Here's my blue dragon who's got monstrous charge and can do AoE, strikes when
Yeah.
he kills. And here's my green dragon who, when he successfully wounds a model, he can then try and wound another model until he stops wounding, but not as like a brutal power attack. Like he just his attacks like kind of like Goothwine that Eomer has maybe. Like he can try to
Oh
kill
yeah, on a
more and more
6 he does
guys, can't
again.
bog
Yeah.
them down. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, no, that'd be sick. That would be really cool. Dragons of the North is so open, and I can see why it's got a lot of people excited.
It's gotta be the most anticipated list of the whole thing, like, even more anticipated than some of the other ones. Like, we've got Host of the Witch King, Shadows of Angmar, Berger's Horde and Wolfpack, and Army of
And Army of
Cardoon, which
Cardoon, which we've already seen on the PDF.
yeah,
Some people are hoping for tweaks, like poor Gulliver.
yeah,
Yeah, some people are waiting for tweaks on that one, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe Gulliver gets fixed or FAQ'd or something. But yeah, we've seen all those lists. I've actually played Host of the Witch King a couple of times this edition so far. It's quite fun. Witch King is absurd when facing men, especially Rohan men. It's like, oh look at me, I brought helm. It's like, okay, cool, transfix. I'm fight 7, die.
yeah,
It's like, whoa, what do you mean? But and then facing, I've actually played against Wolfpack of Angmar yesterday evening.
mm,
For in the TTS event that you're running, Battle of Warbands. And yeah, no, Haldia was carving up some werewolves, but they managed to get through and destroy a supply in the end, which kind of tied over the score. But it was a good scrap. It was a good scrap. But when you're saying it's one of the most anticipated, I've got a feeling so many people who have wanted to love Easterlings for so long. Last edition and Easterlings were mid. They were mid for so long, for at least 3.5 years, 4 years. And then Dragon Emperor came out and it just shot them into the stratosphere. I've got a feeling there's a lot of people who didn't sell their army immediately, because I remember seeing them on eBay. The new edition came
oh
out,
yeah,
boom, Dragon Emperor army on eBay, boom, Dragon Emperor army on Facebook, that sort of stuff. I'm just like, oh, come on, give over. But there's going to be a lot of people who are really excited to play with their doctor yet again. The doctor who revived an entire faction. You could even call him a necromancer if you were feeling so brave. That's how much Doctor Emp did for these things. I reckon that's probably the most anticipated evil list, because it's a returning one and people will be able to play it immediately. People will care less about these things because Amdo was always a bit of a schlub anyway. No one really cared about Amdo. but
right,
but maybe he does something cool in that list now. Maybe the Easterlings Amdo actually has a moment to shine. I don't know. Maybe he's the go-to choice at 600 points. Doctor Emp 800 points. But then Doctor Emp has his own host anyway for assaulting Erebor in the Third Age. So those two lists, I've got a feeling a lot of people are really happy to see that. I'm quite happy to see Serpent Horde, because I liked my Soladan and I liked my Serpent Riders. Uh, so I reckon that is actually going to be. I lost my track of thoughts. I reckon that's going to be a lot of fun, and I reckon a few people are going to be happy to see that back there. Maybe Witch King and Suladan's dead, but Serpent Horde lives on anyway. You got any thoughts over those lists, like the Easterlings and Serpent Horde and such?
The so I mean, there's a family interest in the Easterlings coming out.
Yeah.
Um, because my brother plays Easterlings because the first like box that I ever bought myself of models was the Easterling models. And I think I
Yeah.
might have described this before. And I gave them to my brother. So my brother is an Easterling player and has now, Kamul and Rutabi and Borgir and a
Mm,
Proxy Emperor, stuff like that. Hasn't been a Dragon Emperor pilled player. Has been more interested in Kamul, which is awesome. Super
yes.
Chad to be a fan of Kamul and Amder. Um, and so there is an interest to see the Easterlings and how they operate. I'm curious to see what the Easterlings list is. Is that going to be just every Easterling keyword in one list, and then Host of the
I
Dragon
think
Emperor
so.
is buffs for being the Dragon Host, where it's just the Emperor, Rotabi, Borgir, and Black Dragons, maybe exclusively Black Dragons.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe actually. That's a shout.
and then are they then going to shove Amder and probably also Suladan into Legions of Mordor as the counter to Defenders of Pelennor,
Mm,
where you're now going to see because they have Easterlings in Legions of Mordor, but they got to include Amder, and they're probably going to throw in Cataphracts as well,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
probably none of
That's
the
also
dragons.
a point I've seen is some people said Host of Dragon Emperor might not include cataphracts at all because you got to think this is a sieging force. Cavalry can be useful in a sieging force, but like I'm just thinking. Obviously, we don't have too much described about it as far as I'm aware about the war in the north, the defense of the north. I should say. And I've got a feeling GW did take liberties when writing up their own version of it.
Yeah,
But yeah, um, maybe that might be a clear divide. It's like, do you want to do Easterling Cav? Play the Easterlings. You want to do Easterling Alliance? You go play Legions of Mordor. You want to do Easterlings with like the elite of the elite Easterlings? They're all foot sloggers, but you've got Doctor Emp, Rutaby, and Berger, Brogier, and a bunch of Black Dragons.
yeah, that would
It'd be
be.
interesting to see if Black Dragons are a separate profile as well to the Easterling Warrior. Instead of
I
being
think
an upgrade.
100% they're going to be a separate profile now. Now that they have a model, they're going to make them into a profile, and I think
Mm,
we're going to see them be basically the Eastling profile, and not just because the Eastling warrior is now already fight 4. I think we're
yeah.
not going to see fight 4 or sorry fight 5 be a thing for Black Dragons. I think we're going to see a special rule where they're going to have sworn protector to the Dragon Emperor, so that you're going
Yeah.
to have a fearless infantry slogan force. The Dragon Emperor is probably going to give them 4.5 instead of fight 5, or maybe
Mm,
they're gonna keep fight 5 and they're just gonna be a really tough nut to crack. They're
mm,
probably because it's Black Dragons and there'll be a separate profile. We're not gonna see the Dragon Emperor army be really point efficient. The Dragon Emperor will be
yeah.
his point value. He won't give out discounts. You just are buying Black Dragons. Then you've got the
Mm,
Dragon Knight, who's gonna be probably the only mounted model because you've got mounted Dragon Knight, and they probably won't include the War Priest because it's got to be things that just have the word dragon in it. So it'll be like Black Dragons, Dragon Knights,
yeah.
Runish War Drakes, and the Dragon Emperor, Ratabi, and Borgir, right? Like that's
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
that's the list.
Yeah.
And then Easterlings is Cataphracts and the War Priests and all
It
that
throws in
jazz.
Amder, and it gives you the option of regular warriors as well as Black Dragon. There's going to be the more flexible Easterlings list.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that there's going to be any Black Dragon presence in the Eastern list. Like if that's the divide, right? Host of the Dragon Emperor is the army that goes and sieges Erebor, and they got the Dragon Emperor with them. And then the
Mm.
Easterlings is like what we see that goes to Mordor, and they're the more generic Easterling force.
Okay. Okay. Interesting take. Interesting take. Yeah. Yeah. Potentially.
Which I mean,
Potentially.
they're probably gonna Easterlings is just gonna be the big the kettle of everything all souped in that into one spot. But But there's a chance. That my hope is that there is a little bit of divide so that people can have their identity. Because obviously Kamul did not get legacied. So Kamul will be in the Easterlings and maybe Defenders of the Pelennor as well.
I thought
Um,
Kamal did.
yeah. So
I thought Kamal did get legacied.
I think I thought he was the only one who didn't. Let me double check. Control F for
I was gonna
Kamul.
say because I think all three Ringgrave sets got legacied, like the named Ringgrave sets, except for the Witch King. And it said the Witch King would become sold separately, even though we already had a plastic kit that was sold separately anyway. But I'm sure
Oh.
Kamal bit the dust as well.
Okay, yeah, in Mordor, I'm seeing that the Ring of the Lost of the Fallen Realms got completely legacy. I thought, wow. Well, maybe it was hopium taking
No,
hold.
he's Kamal the Easterling. His legacy profile is going to allow him to be in one of the lists.
Yeah,
His
yeah,
legacy
yeah,
profile is going to be in there, but yeah, it's legacy. It's got the dirty L word right next to it, so
yeah. Okay.
less reason to be excited. But yeah, no. I reckon that could be where he fits for sure, for sure.
Okay, okay. So yeah, yeah. All right. Well, I kind of wish there would be
Womp
a
womp.
divide between the Easterlings and the Dragon Host, but alas,
Aye,
they'll probably be blended in the Easterlings. But that's fine.
yeah.
I mean,
We'll
they won't
see.
have all
Eh?
their missing buffs and whatnot.
Yeah,
Um, the so like of those three, I mean, obviously, I guess I'm more inclined, like more interested to see the Easterlings come back just for the sake of my brother.
yeah, 100.
Um,
percent
I do love the Serpent Horde, just visually. I've never played them, and the only model I own from the army is like a broken Haradrim Archer. Uh,
Yeah.
but I love the sculpt of the Haradrim Warriors. Like they're an old sculpt, but I love like all the intertwining fabric. And I think I mentioned this before. Like I would, painting Harad would be a very satisfying experience for me because of all the shading that you can do with washes and whatever.
Oh,
Um,
100%. Yeah. No, my Harad are very colourful. Like my Haradrim I painted like there's blues, greens, yellows, greys, purples, pinks, reds. But like I did my Haradrim very very colourful. I think that they're one of the armies where you could get away with that. Obviously, people always like do them red and that because that's what we see in the films. But like the Haradrim people out in the desert, I've got a feeling they might wear more than red, especially because they've got access to the sea as well, with Umbar right next to them.
mhm.
Um, I reckon they'd be actually quite colourful. Um, but yeah, the Serpent Horde, the Serpent Clan, black and red.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get
And
it. I get it.
do you think the Serpent Horde is going to be the Easterlings list as like similar to how the do you think the Serpent Horde list is going to be to the Grand Army of the South that the Easterlings is the Dragon Emperor list? Like,
Potentially. I could see Serpent Horde being Harad without Mummox, and then in Legions of Middle-Earth, Suladin and the Serpent Riders are going to be added to what we have in Armies of Lord of the Rings Harad.
hmm
So Harad will be to what Harad will be the Easterlings to what Grand Army of the South is for Host of Dragon Emperor, or it could be the other way around. It could be the Serpent Harad could be the Easterlings to Host of Dragon Emperor being the Serpent Horde. The Serpent Horde might be a narrowed in elite Suladan's guard, Suladan's
oh,
specific
true.
clan list, and then Grand Army of the South is everybody from the South. Which to me, like obviously, Far Harad got legacied. I could see Grand Army of the South now being Umbar and Harad Rim models because Umbar is in Harad Wraith. It is in the south of Middle Earth. So
True.
sure, they didn't battle each other together on Middle Earth, but Pelennor or such, which is what Grand Army of the South previously was. It was
hmm
the big Mummock marching line. But the Corsairs were pillaging like Pelagia and such. They were making their way up the Anduin, and then they obviously got intercepted. So I could see Grand Army of the South now being a Umbar and Harad alliance. But yeah, no, Serpent Hood go a few ways for me. It could either be like the Host of Dragon Emperor version of Harad as we know it, or yeah, they could be. It's because we've got Harad in
Yeah, I
Armies of
forgot
Lord of the
about them.
Rings. And it's just kind of like, oh, yeah, you forgot about them. The list that makes Mummics super great. So it's like Grand Army of the South doesn't even need to do that because we already have the Harad list that makes them great.
So it's been a while since I've looked at the Herod list. I'll pull up their army bonuses.
Yeah,
Okay, so they give Harbinger, Monstrous Rampage. Wow, yeah, they do just do a
yeah.
lot of stuff for Mumax.
It's just, hi, we're Harad, and we're the Harad from the films. So it's just Mummics. Mummics do everything.
Okay, because like the theory that I started to formulate was that okay, Herod is the summary of everything altogether, and
Yeah.
then Serpent Horde, like you said, is the host of the Dragon Emperor, the very specific to this character list,
Mm,
and that being Suladan, and then my then thought was okay, so that means that Grand Army of the South will be the Mumac list. It'll be basically pure Mumacs. It's the Mumac War Leader, and you get Mumacs, and they get all these buffs. Maybe they get some upgrades for free or some sort of discount so that you can fit more Mumacs into your list.
mm.
And then you get to play that moment when they charge, into the Rohirrim, but also
Yeah.
but now that's a movie moment, really, and
Yeah.
and was kind of a book moment, but it's really highlighted in the movie, and so I guess yeah, wow, I'm always skeptical when it comes to like the blending of Umbar and Harad, but I think I have to concede this where may, that I think that's a really
I'm just going off of
difficult
geographically.
yeah.
They're both in the south. That's what it could be. It could be that mix. It could be Grand Army South could literally just become the Harad army list plus the Serpent Horde army list. It's just
Mm,
yeah. Remember these two army lists and all their bonuses in one list, which would be a bit lazy. Don't get me wrong, but it could
right,
just be that. It could just be that. But me hoping like that there is still some ways to mix stuff up. I would like Grand Army of the South to be Umbar and and Serpent Horde,
right.
or Harad, as Harad currently is. Because I'm pretty sure Legions of Mordor includes the Haradrim and the Haradrim and Mummics. So like they've already got their big mix list because Legions of Mordor is the attack of Pelennor Fields. Yeah, they're in there. So yeah, it's kind of like Grand Army of the South can't even be the Haradrim and Orcs, so to speak, because we already have that in Legions of Mordor.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just looking like it could be Serpent Horde plus Umbar, or Harad plus Umbar, or Harad plus Serpent Horde plus Umbar. But it could also end up just being Serpent Horde plus Harad, potentially.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm excited to see what they do, and I think you're right. I think you're right. I think Umbar will get married in, so that Umbar is present in two lists because right now they'll
Mm,
just be Umbar, which now they did write um in the Armies of Lord of the Rings. They're the
yep.
Corsairs of Umbar. Is that right?
I want to
Um.
say it's Corsairs of Umbar, or they're just Corsairs. Corsair fleets. That's the one.
Yeah. So you have Corsair fleets, and then they're gonna have a list called Umbar. So is and if we look at the models that were legacied for them, which obviously they will still have rules and they'll get plugged into where they need, but as
Mm,
but as far as it relates to the events that won't allow legacy, for whatever reason, um, which might be interesting to chat briefly about of whether it's worth including them or not, but
mm,
uh, Corsair Reavers are the only thing that they've lost because they didn't have a model.
yep.
Um, which I mean is a pretty big blow because Reavers were bloody strong, but
Yep.
Corsairs, Arbalesters, their ballista. Do we
It'll be the
think
Black
that?
Numenorians.
Oh yeah, Black Numenorians. Okay, so Umbar could be Black Numenorians and Arbalesters thrown
Pirates.
in,
Yeah.
and then
It'll be the pirates plus Black Numenorians because Black Numenorians inhabited Umbar. They previously Corsairs could have access to Black Nums. I reckon they will
Mhm.
keep that. I reckon that's what the Umbar list will be. It'll be Dalimar, the named Corsair dudes, the Corsairs plus Black Numenorians. I don't think they'll get Black Numenorians on horseback, because we know they've been renamed. The Morgul Knights have been renamed, um, to Black Numenorians mounted or Black Numenorian Knights or something like that. So I don't
Yeah.
think Umbar will get that. However, I could see them getting foot Black Nums.
it would be really cool if Black Numenorians and Black Numen Knights were present in Umbar. As
Yeah,
unlikely
it
as
would.
it is, it would be cool because then they would have a cavalry option in their list.
Aye,
It could be a list where you decide not to run any Corsair models because you're like, well, I want to focus on Black Numenorians, and
yeah,
if they're being renamed from Morgul Knights, right? Does
yeah.
that mean that Black Numenorians won't be present in the Minas Morgul list that folks are expecting, and Black Numenorians will be relegated to either, to be in the Grand Army of the South, or sorry, Grand Army of the Eye. What is it? Great Eye
Great
Army.
Eye. Yeah, yeah. Army of the
Yeah,
Great Eye.
Army of the Great Eye, Barad-dûr, and Umbar, or maybe just Umbar, right?
Mm,
Like, is that going to be where they spotlight? Is that you run Black Numenorians with Arbalesters, and like that's like your army, and you can throw some knights in, and there's some buffs where the the Black Numenorians cause terror, but
mm.
maybe there's some sort of -1 penalty. Like they get like a harbinger built into their Black Numenorian marshal, which I think is still will exist.
Yeah, I think that I don't think they've took that away, so Blackburn Marshall should still be around. The thing with them being in Minas Morgul, I've never been on board with that because Minas Morgul to me is the march from Minas Morgul. It's all the orcs following the Nazgul. Um, sure, you could say, well, Black Númenóreans could be in and about that area, um, but the only time we see a Black Númenórean in the film is the mouth of Sauron,
Yeah.
and that's at the gate, the Morannon Gate, the Black Gate. Um, I've got a feeling if the Númenóreans are in Mordor, in the realm of Mordor, the country of Mordor, however you would like to say it. Um, I can't see them being added in any of the Third Age armies. I do think it's probably just going to be Umbar and Barad-dûr. Maybe Army of the Great Eye they can get thrown in because that's going to be a catch-all.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm not too sure about that. What would be wild is if they get included in Blackgate Opens for some reason.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Um,
That'd be insane. More terror in my super chief list.
yeah, I don't remember where in the books we had maybe seen Black Numenorians, um, other than I think mention about
I think
Umbar.
yeah, I was gonna say I think they get mentioned. So after the Last Alliance, I'm pretty sure they get mentioned. That's the beginning of the decline of them. Like the Last Alliance wins, and the Black Númenóreans just kind of fade. They still
Okay.
controlled Umbar, so that's where the connection to Umbar is. But like the idea is like they've declined. There's not a lot of them left, so I could see them being an elite option.
Hmm.
So like Black Numenorian marshals would have leader Black Numenorians, and then
Yeah,
maybe
that's
like Dalimar has it, and then that's it. Or maybe Sauron gains it. But if Sauron gains it, then I'm like, why is it not already on his profile? Oh, because the profile didn't exist. Yeah, but like and now you got to errata it in, and it's a bit silly.
yeah. I'm hopeful just from I'm really hopeful that they're Justin Barrett and Umbar. I think that would be very sort of true to the thematics,
Mm,
and true to the,
mm.
the lore. And I think it would also just help sort of divide some things around so that we're not just seeing Morannons behind Black Numenorians again, which
Yes.
it never made sense to me why, these Black Numenorians are now popping up all over the Third Age, like,
Yeah.
and
There should be a reduced number of them for sure. And I definitely reckon we're going to get that. They're going to be a unit that requires a leader. Was it elite? Yeah, they're going to have the elite keyword for sure.
yeah, and the fact that if they keep it the Black Numenorian Marshal implies that they're marshaling the Black Numenorians, and so they've
Mm,
got to be leader Black Numenorian. Like it's got to be an elite option, and it would be a waste for them to just like really not utilize this elite rule because it's only mattered for like Citadel Guard and guarding the Fountain Court because basically every Rohan hero can lead Rohan Road Guard anyways.
yeah,
Um,
all the film era ones for sure. Like when it comes to Royal Guard in War of the Rohirrim, only Helm can take them, which
yeah.
infuriates me. Like it's like, oh yeah, only Helm can take them. And it's like, but the royal guard, they look after the royal family, so surely Aleph
Yeah.
and Hammer should be able to take them. Like, no, 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 just Helm. It's like, right, okay, let's look in the new age. Okay, Theoden can take them. He's the king. That makes sense. Just like Helm. Oh, look, his son, Prince Theodred, can take them. Oh, look, someone who's not even in the direct line of descendants. Theoden's nephew, Aomer, can take them. Then you got Gamling, who is the captain of the royal guard, who could take them. That's okay. I'm okay with that one. It's just one of them where I'm like, oh well. Did the royal guard really need elite? I guess
Right.
it stops the war with Rohirrim forces being full of royal guard as well, but like, eh.
Yeah.
I
I
got feeling they missed a step there.
yeah, the mentioning Theodred is interesting because they're going to be bringing back a lot of the older, and by older I mean 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 5-year-old lists.
Mm.
We're gonna see return of a lot of lists we've already seen, which is probably why we didn't talk about them too much, like the Bjornings, Fort of
Yeah,
Eisen, Theodred's Guard, the
yeah, I'm
past
really looking
crew of
forward to
them.
that. With the loss of Grimbold, I reckon Fords of Eisen might have some way of making your infantry strength 4 or +1 to wound.
Oh yeah, that could be cool. Give me a reason to
Mm.
dust off my Warriors of Rohan.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah,
the throwing spear limit's been annoying as all heck to do
yeah.
proper battle lines.
Make it 50% in Fords of Eisen, or
Mhm.
100%, or make it 50% Fords of Eisen. Keep everyone gets one protector Theodred because they're there to look after Theodred. He is the next in line. He's about to die in this battle, the Battle of the
Yeah,
Fords. But then yeah, just give something mean like everyone within 6 inches of Theodred gets +1 to wound, or everyone within 6 inches of Theodred gets to reroll wound rolls of 1. Or if Theodred dies, everybody gets +1 to wound. Something insane. I'd love to see it.
yeah. Oh, that could be
They just
really
died,
cool.
all the Rohirrim go berserk and just start stabbing everything. Ah!
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm excited for some of these lists. Like the fact that Woses survived the mass culling of Legacy, um,
of all
is
things.
is pretty nice. I mean, they are a big part of the book in that they
Yep.
help with the shortcut, and I think they did get into some skirmishes with orcs, right? Like along the way.
Yeah, yeah, that's the idea. So when the legions of Mordor assaulted Pelennor, obviously assaulted Minas Tirith. Obviously, Minas Tirith has a huge, massive wall with multiple gates, like
Mhm.
not even on the field of Pelennor. So beyond the fields of Pelennor, just outside of Minas Tirith, is yet another wall with massive gates, and the Pass of the Druidan was a way around that. And the orcs knew of it, stationed a few people there, but they weren't expecting it to be used. So that's why there
Right.
was only a couple of skirmishes as the Druidan led the Rohirrim through, because all of the actual gates would have been took over by the orcs and
Yeah.
fortified. So they would have been waiting, like if any reinforcements come from one of the main entry points into Minas Tirith, into the Pelennor, then yeah, Rohan would have been scuffed and would have really struggled. But no, they go through the Pass of the Druidan, take out a couple of orcs, and then enter Pelennor and do that surprise charge of the Rohirrim into the flanks of the massive forces.
Yeah.
Where obviously in the film, it's just yeah, it's a big field outside Minas Tirith. They don't touch on the massive, huge ringed wall as an extra bit of defense.
Right. I think, thinking about the lists they're coming out with for the side of good, and
Yeah.
thinking about the lists that are coming out for the side of evil, and kind of thinking about the lists that they had already released, this really feels
Mm.
like, I mean, at least to me, and maybe I'm biased, that while the Armies of the Lord of the Rings was really like, this is a book for the forces of good, right? Forces of evil kind of got kicked in the shins and was like, yeah, this is the age of evil is over. The the time of good has come. Um, I think this book is like the most exciting for evil players. I think evil players are the most excited for it, obviously, because it's like bringing back so many of their armies.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just flushing out a lot of stuff because when you're just working out of the films and what was in the movies, you don't have a lot to work with for evil, and it just becomes about, the fellowship characters and Éomer and all that stuff. And so
Yeah.
now finally we're getting something to sink our teeth into and get to take our little Sharpie and annotate our Armies of the Lord of the Rings book with everything that's changed with Armies of Middle Earth and
and we completely forget about Armies of the Hobbit. It falls into the distant past.
Yeah, yeah, and then well, yeah, Armies of the Hobbit's a self-contained package.
Yeah,
They're they've always stood on their own because there's all the content has just been only really mineable out of the movies.
yeah,
Um, because the movies turned it into like a war film sort of thing.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
the
yeah, for sure.
and the whole New Line Cinema, versus book split or whatever that Games Workshop's dancing with, um, it's really showcased just how much is movie only and book only that like
Yeah,
this book is just massive.
yeah. It's 192 pages. They said right. There were 130 profiles, 130 profiles, and then you've got out of those 130 profiles, you've got a bunch of lists. Sure, we already knew about there's 7 of them. We already knew about Arathorn's stand. Oh no, 8 of them. We already knew about Arathorn's stand, Arnor, um, Battle of Fornost, and then the 5 Agmar lists: Host, Shadows,
Hmm.
Birders, Wolf, and Army of Carndom. So, like, even though it's 14 evil lists, 14 good lists, we already knew of 8. So it's 20 new lists, 20 brand new lists. And I do think evil is eating, like, eating, because despite having 5 lists we already knew of, every other evil list, you've got something to be excited about, except for maybe Sharky's Rogues, unless you're a weirdo. Where the good list is kind of like, we know this because it's good. It's like we already have all of the good stuff because of the films, as you said. So when it comes to the good stuff, it's like, oh yeah, the Grey Code, the book version of Return of the King, the Bjornings. Well, yeah, the Bjornings are massive last edition. They're a little bit into it. Fords of Eisen, the battle where Theodred died. It's just renaming Theodred's Guard. You can't convince me otherwise.
Right, right.
Battle of Bywater. It's the other half of Sharky's Roads. No one cares. And then the top bit is just like Army of Erebor, Defenders of Erebor, Army of Dale, Army of Dale, Brandon Bard plus Dale dudes. Knights of Dale will return there. Army of Erebor, Old Dane, Prince Thorin the Third, and their warriors. Hopefully, instead of it just being a bunch of Iron Hills warriors in Army of Erebor, I wouldn't mind seeing like Grimhammers. Like the Grimhammers and Warriors of Erebor are currently in 2 lists: Army of Thor, Erebor, and Dale. If Army of Erebor is Old Dane plus Grimhammers, yes, sign me up immediately. I'll
Yeah, that'd
take
be
that.
sweet.
No bother. I know Iron Warriors can take Mattox, but they don't look as cool as Grimhammers do to me. And I also think Grimhammers could get Guardians of the King again for Old Dane. Strength 4 Grimhammers with their Strength 4 Iron Hills cousins for Army of Erebor. Then yeah, Defenders of Erebor will be Defenders of Erebor. It's Dale and Erebor united to fight the host of the Dragon Emperor.
Yeah,
It's again, it's just stuff that it's really easy, and there's not a lot of speculation. We know exactly what it is.
yeah, exactly. The Everything here is pretty clear for the good side of what to
Mm,
expect. It's
yeah,
just copy and paste. It's evil that's really been reformatted.
yeah,
Um,
man.
I I'm excited. I'm excited for this book, and I'm excited to keep playing Middle Earth. I'm actually going to be going to a convention to run a Helm's Deep Siege event. So I've been fiercely, uh, you know, building and painting ladders that are to scale with the Helm's Deep that we have, because the Helm's Deep that we're going to be using is massive. The little, the little dinky ladders that come in the Isengard Siege Crew set are not large enough. Um,
Go, oof. It is a
so
massive one then.
I have 2 of like the giant wide ladders that you see the ballista shoot up against the wall, or 3 rather, and I have a total of 12 standard ladders to assault the walls with. And then I grabbed a couple dinky ladders in case they want to
Nice.
assault the blocks. But
Which Siege of Helm's Deep is it? Is it Two Towers or is it War of the Rohirrim?
so funnily enough, this is going to be and partly out of my own desire and also out of necessity, this is going to
Yeah.
be a blend of the two.
Oh,
Um,
sick, sick.
so we're
Nice.
going to see. the forces of evil is going to be the fighting Urukai, berserkers, all that stuff, but also
Mm.
wild men are going to get thrown in, which were there in the book Siege.
In
Like
the
the book
books, yeah,
Siege,
they were there. Yeah, yeah,
like
they
it was
were.
goblins, orcs, Urukai, and wildmen.
Yep.
Was like the forces that assaulted Helm's Deep, and so this is kind of fitting, to throw in the new Dunland Hillmen into the mix,
Yeah.
and then I'm also going to be, you know, if we bring Hera and company along, they're going to join the three hunters in the defense of the Hornburg,
Hell yeah.
which would be
That'd be
just
such a
cool.
tour de force, man. Hera, Bride of Death with Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli. Damn.
Like, isn't that so cool? Like, oh my gosh. And I'm so excited. I'm hoping that one of our community members is going to be bringing a bunch of models as well, and they're
Mm,
they're the one who like has a Hera and has stuff like that. And I really hope that Hera is remembered to be packed, um, so that we can really just have both sides. And granted, I um, I don't own a lot of Uruk-hai, so I'm also hoping that
some people
some
show up with
Uruk-hai.
their Urks. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because somehow I did have Uruk-hai, but and I gave them to another brother to start his army. So I
Damn
don't own
siblings.
yeah, I don't own the most popular army of probably Middle Earth strategy battle game history. Um,
To be
in
fair,
the
they do go hard. The design for the two towers, it's iconic, is what it is. Think Lord of
it's
the
so
Rings. If you don't immediately think of Aragorn, you're probably thinking about the Uruk-hai.
yeah, exactly. That there's such a great looking force. I've always and I think the thing that's caused me to like drag my feet on cooking Isengard is that I've always been a fan of the scouts over the warriors. I've
Yeah,
always been a fan for those little mohawk horn helmets that they have and like the
yeah,
dreadlocks and the leather army. It's so good. Like when I think of Isengard, I think of, Amon Hen, and I think of
yeah,
like the dudes that are running, and I love them so much. Um, I want to be able to play Urkai Scouts in like a traditional shield wall format while they're still movement 8. I would
yeah.
love, I would, which I guess is Ugly Scouts when you think about it, but
Yeah,
um,
yeah, she's backed up by the smaller, lesser kin, the orcs of Isengard.
I don't want no stinking orc maggots in my list.
Aye.
I gotta be Urkai Scouts pure. So I guess I'm a Lurtz Scouts player.
Yeah,
In
unfortunately,
that case.
you've been relegated to using the one man who fought, the one Uruk who actually gave Aragorn a bit of a tough fight in all of the
Yeah.
films, but he's not fight seven.
Um, but he does have free heroic combats, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, and the shield throw. Can't forget the shield throw.
And the shield throw, yeah, he gets to be Captain America a little bit, which is pretty sweet. And he can choose
Yeah,
for it to hit the horse.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
a sharpshooter.
Yeah, he just can't do the math of having it bounce back into his arm. Unlike Captain America, the master mathematician.
He has figured out the physics.
Yeah, he
Well,
knows exact physics and angles to do it. It's insane. But yeah,
I mean, if you can chuck a spiky shield, was like 30 yards. I mean, that's still something, you
and
know?
then have it bounce off a tree and come back to your arm.
Yeah. That would be cool. That'd be cool if he could like if he kills the model, they hit the shield throw, he gets his shield back. Um,
Yeah, only on a charge. If you throw it whilst charging it to somebody, you get to pick it back up.
yeah.
Forever D6, forever D6. Let's go.
That'd be so cool.
That would be
Um,
awesome. That would be awesome. Aye.
well, all right. So we're getting close to time here.
Yep.
Um, what is to sort of like end us off? What is the next event you're going to, and what's the next hobby project that you're working on?
So next event I'm going to is the Scouring of Cheshire in April. Big event in Manchester. Well, south, just about south of Manchester. It's an all comers event. Always has been, as far as I've known. You'll get people who go there to try and win, and they'll hang around at the top tables. You get people who go there who will play their first games ever. So it's a proper nice event where everybody goes there just to have a good time, a few good laughs, and alcohol. So that's the
Yeah.
next event I'm going to. I've got a few of my friends from another Discord going. What I've convinced one of the guys from my local group up in the lakes to come down with us. So yeah, it's going to be good fun. It's going to be good fun. I'm going to be meeting up with a couple of people from this Discord there as well, who have went every year, just like I have, as of 2021. So that's my next event. As for hobby, probably looking at Army of Throw next.
Awesome.
Um, so I mean, it's that or finishing yet another list for Minas Morgul because I've got 2 lists that I play of Minas Morgul fully painted. If I get a second box of Orc Warriors, I could do a third list. If I get a fourth box, I could actually do. If I get a box of Mordor Battle Host, I could actually have a Crownless Witch King and do a fourth list that
Mm.
I play, and have them all painted, and that's Minas Morgul done. It'd also mean a Barad-dûr list is done as well, to be fair. So a few options, but I do really want to get Armies of Thor done this edition, hopefully this year, because I've been saying it for at least 3.5 years now that I'm going to do Army of Thor. Meanwhile, I've only got Thrain and Thor, nobody else. But yeah, what about yourself? Obviously, you've got this convention this weekend. Next hobby project, what have you got going on?
Yeah, so the next hobby project, aside from the fact that I'm running a slow grow league, like a slow grow escalation where folks buy models for 350 points to
Uh,
start, and then we add 150 points each of the following months to take advantage of the hype. So I've been doing my active hobby project is painting up the hill tribes for usurpers of Edoras, and I've
awesome.
over the past 3 months I've painted 54 Dunlin models, and in the next week, because I have a tournament coming up this coming weekend, that's being ran by some people I've never met, and it's here in Maine. And so the fact that there's other players that I don't know about is cool.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
it's like a 2 round tournament. So I want to have my as much of my hill tribes painted by then, so I can do 700 points, which would then give me a head start to then round out my 800 point army for the month
nice.
following. But but as far as my next hobby project of like what am I itching to sink my teeth into? Um, I'm I played a game with them all in gray plastic,
Mm,
and I think this is the edition that I'm finally, after what 17 years of waiting to actually play this army and paint it up and everything. I'm gonna finally start a Numenor army. Um,
damn. Right. Okay. I was not expecting Numenor coming out of your mouth, but okay, I respect it.
I mean, I've been flirting with Lords of Scouts and the Defenders of the Shire and on all this stuff as things I want to do, but
Mm,
I've had my uncle's Isildur metal miniature and the 15, 16 Warriors of New Mordor that came in that Fellowship with the Ring box set
mm.
back in 2001, and I'd never painted them, and I always kind of felt discouraged by like kind of online discourse about Numenor, like by themselves, right, without the
Yeah.
elves. And I've now that I've kind of like matured as a hobbyist and a player, and like a person over these past 17 years.
Oh yeah, only
um
17.
yeah uh the well, I guess, well, yeah, I guess the whole Numenor discourse has only been for the last 8 or so, but
Yeah,
uh
yeah. Since the
I've,
MESBG first edition, eh? Or fifth
it's
edition, as
like,
some would call it.
yeah, it's been um it's about time. It's about time that
Yeah.
I just kind of like it's something I'm really passionate about. I really love the way that the Numenorian helmets and armor look, and I love Isildur because I loved playing as Isildur in the Two Towers video game that
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
the very first mission. Yeah, I
that
remember.
mission is so good.
Yeah.
And then unlocking him as a secret character so you can play him in
Yes.
the other levels was so much fun, and he was like so overpowered. Um, and I
God,
just
I've not played that game in years.
it's so good. I really like Numenor has a special place in my heart, and I think it's
Mm,
about time. Um, they haven't been buffed in such a way that they're overly oppressive. They don't have a banner, right? They got Fight 5, which is a cool increase, but their ring got weaker, and so I don't. There's no like social pressure of like, ooh, you're playing Numenor, blah. Which I'm now experiencing as someone who's played Dale historically,
Yes.
when they were bad, and now they're super good,
And
and
now,
everyone
now they're
hates it.
insane.
And it's like I now feel bad whenever I have to take out the models I'm really proud of.
Yeah.
Um,
Nah, man,
that
Numenor's going to be good. I reckon you're going to do a fantastic job with them.
Oh,
Numenor's going to
thank
be
you.
great.
Yeah. And now
Uh,
get this. I'm not bringing a Lendil. It's gonna be a Sealdor and captains, and it's gonna be as many Numenorians as I can fit in the list.
well, you lost me there because Elendil is you can't question Elendil's appearance in Numenor list for me. my Numenor army that I've got, Elendil's always there. Whether it's 400 points, 500 points, 600 points, 700, 800 points in my Numenor lists, last edition and this edition, Elendil's always there. But fair enough, I can respect it. Isildur leading the way.
Yeah, I do love a Lendil. I think a Lendil is cool. Um, and I will run him at some point 'cause I do have his model.
Yeah.
But I I am a big fan of Highline Isildur. I want Isildur to be the one who's the centerpiece of the whole army, kind of like
Mm.
the was it the Battle of Daggerlad where Isildur's riding with no, it wasn't Daggerlad, but he's
No,
riding
in the
with
Dagger Lad. Yeah.
his guard and they get attacked by the orcs and he dies. But I like the idea of Isildur. He's got the Ring of Power after he said no, and he's now leading the Kingdom of Numenor in the wake of his father's death.
Yeah.
Um, and that's kind of what I want to capture is the fall of Isildur, as it were. Um,
Yeah,
this
sounds
is
good. Sounds good. It's the ambush of the Gladden Fields, by the way, where Isildur
Oh,
dies.
Gladden
Ah,
Fields, that's what it is.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
because
ambush of the
Daggerlad,
Gladden Fields. Yeah,
that's the last
that's
alliance.
a big one.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
oh
Okay,
yeah, that's the big one from the first age of Dagger Lad. I'm pretty sure.
okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. No, okay, not that one. Yeah, I mean the Gladden
Yeah,
Fields ambush.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I
Sick,
want to
sick, man.
do. I think that'd be super fun. Something on the side is I want to start painting up a metal fellowship. Um,
Oh yeah, I've got one of them in my drawer. I've got the OG Metal Fellowship in my drawer. It's my favorite Boromir sculpt.
oh yeah,
That one.
that is easily my favorite. I well, I'm, I think what I'm gonna do is that because I have like a bit of fellowship characters here and there for the different sculpts, and I kind of want to cherry pick my favorite sculpts to make
Yeah,
up the breaking of the fellowship.
yeah, yeah. That's what I've done. I've already done
Oh
that.
sweet, yeah.
Yeah,
I 'cause I have the plastic one and I painted them up, but they're not satisfying aesthetically because of how Play-Doh-y they are to me.
yeah,
And so I want to do the breaking of the fellowship with like you know, my favorite Aragorn sculpt. I want to do like the Boromir shot with arrows as
yeah,
my Boromir.
yeah,
Um, I want to do, 'cause and then not take him with the shield maybe. When I
yeah,
run the
yeah.
list,
Cool, cool.
like do really authentically the breaking of the Fellowship. Um, but
That
but
sounds
that's
sick.
that's kind of I think gonna be taking a back seat to Numenor,
To Numenor.
because
Yeah,
I really want to do Numenor, and even if I end up saving them for next year's annual Slow Grow League,
yeah,
because I have 238 points of Numenor or something like that. Because it's 16 or 15 warriors plus a Theodore, and I have one spare warrior of Numenor, um,
nice.
and so I could use that for a slow grow. Um, And I could also use them for Realms of Men because I think Prince Imrahil and Aeronor will make great kings of Numenor, and kings of Arnor
Yes, they will.
for the Realms of Men list. And so I think there's a lot of flexibility that if I collect Numenor and for whatever reason I need to bring a banner, I can always play them in Realms of Men. Um,
Aye, aye. Sick, sick. Great idea, Chief. Great idea. All right, said we're close on time now. So, you want to sign us off?
yeah. Thank you everyone. For listening in to this, probably what will be another unfiltered Discord in the Ranks podcast.
Aye.
We've been your hosts, Kami and the King.
Hell yeah.
And we hope that you have a really good day. We hope that your known oil doesn't spill over when you're painting and shading your next model. And we hope that you find a $5 bill on the ground when you're getting gas in your tank to go to the next tournament. So that gallon is free. And we just hope
I
that
hope all
we
your
hope,
dice roll sixes. Simple
yeah,
as.
just roll sixes, guys. Just roll
Right, just roll
sixes.
sixes. Take it easy.